You know what, everyone? Wickedness is pervasive in this country. What's up, brothers and sisters? This is the Reluctant Abi back again. And we are going to talk about the agents. All right. And these are agents of political parties, not agents of responsible ideology. These are agents that never cared about the Afro community but have become the mouthpieces for their husbands who are just people that are involved in these political parties. Talking about Candice Owens, with whom everyone pretty much knows. But the other one is Antonio Okafor. You might not know a lot about Antonio Okafor, but you'll hear from her. And the reason why she's going to be in this video is that she actually walks through her decision process from being a downright out and out, I'm going to vote for the Democrats, to all of a sudden being a Republican. Mind you, these women are not conservative. They are opportunistic women. The Afro community has been conservative all the way up to, let's say, the 70s, the women's movement. The Afro community as a whole were conservative. We had deep-seated values as to how we were to conduct ourselves. We had a strong spiritual belief into things that was right and or wrong. As a matter of fact, the Caucasian Jesus didn't play really seriously into the religious dichotomy until around I'm gonna say late 70s. No, maybe 1980. um and I'm going by tracks of music that I've heard. You can kind of listen to the gospel music, and you can see the transition into the garbage we have now, and you could understand that everything was about God, 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 the Almighty, God, 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 this, God, that. They were singing stuff out of the Old Testament, right? They were creating that, the Smallwood singers, a lot of stuff, right? And so the Afro community has always been a spiritually conservative, fiscally liberal community. And then that all changed. All right. Even the way we saved, we were conservative in saving. We just believed in community. That's all changed. And who changed it? Yeah, the BFEMs. All right. And so before I get into this, let me greet everybody. Havorten hardu gudag ola oi to the bank. Bosses los bonjour mes amis. Keda bawani konnichiwa. Nihan hiyama. Nihama. Sani bonani. Jumbo habaragani. Assalamu alaikum and shalom. I'm going to tell you why we need to save ourselves to the Afro men out there. Okay? This Candace Owens and other BAWs like her do not represent conservatives, nor do they represent any part of the Afro community. Um, they would not align with a conservative man, but as soon as a Caucasian man wants them, they're Johnny on the spot. These women have been placed in positions to be the mouthpieces of these Republican men. Let's not get it twisted. All right, so here's the breakdown. But first, let me remind you, get those thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. My Cash App will be in the description box along with my PayPal me. All right. Now, At this point, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm starting to transfer a lot of my videos, especially the ones that we really need to be honest with. I'm starting to transfer them over to blackavenger.tv. So it's www.blackavenger.tv, not .com, .tv. So www.blackavenger.tv. I'll put the link in the description box. All right. Y'all need to go over there if you want the unfiltered truth as to what is going on. There are things that's going on that these women are doing to our children, to us, that we can't talk about on YouTube because they censor evil so that they can keep it secret, right? Black Avenger TV is allows us to bust this thing wide open. So yes, I'm over there. All right. So let's start breaking this stuff down. All right. Candice Owens. Understand this and understand this clearly. Whomever is the husband of the woman, that is her leader, and that is the community she represents. I want you to understand this. Whoever is the husband, all right, I want you to notice the picture. Y'all don't see any Afro men in this scene at all. They are nowhere near or around this area. This means that this woman, Candice Owens, does not represent us. She is nothing but an agent. She does not represent us. She's supposed to represent her husband. All right. Since she chose that to be her husband, then she represents that. She cannot speak as an Afro-American woman. No, you belong to your husband. You are not a part of our community and our group. You're part of the community of your husband. And see, this is the problem. This is why these women feel willy-nilly to commit adultery and everything, is because they just think that once they join with the man, they could do whatever, and they could have their legs already in too well. No, you drink from his well. All right, period. She does not represent our community. She doesn't. She represents the community that you see in the background. Namely the political community. This is the Republican community. I'm telling brothers not to vote Republican or Democrat, but if you're going to vote for somebody, vote for the people that did not try to destroy us physically. They just don't like us. All right. The thing is, I am going to come out and say, yeah, I like Trump. But I would have liked him if he's acting the same way as a Democrat. I would have loved him as a Democrat. I like him as a Republican. If he was an independent that won, I would have liked it. Dude just brought some flavor to everything. There's always something in the news. All right. He's done a good job as a president, but people don't like him because this is a sorry, entitlement-filled class of individuals that shut down all speech to the point where even social workers cannot even talk with them and be honest. There is no help for this group of people coming up now. There's no help for them. Okay? So, the family that she represents has nothing to do with our family. Doesn't have anything to do with us. All right? Period. Nothing to do with us. These are agents to us. And everybody's getting caught up in the flowery talk and everything. And brothers need to either listen to true conservatives, but you don't listen to their wives. Period. They're only there, and I'm going to tell you the secret, Candice Owens and Okafor, they are there to sway independent Caucasian voters, period. Primarily the women, so that they could be okay with the Republican Party. That's what this is all about. It's never been about the Afro conservatives, because Afro people have always been conservative. That is the history of Afro people before the single black mother took over the family. Before they decided to be with Pookies and Ray Rays only. Now keep this in mind. With these women that's going to come in and come to you, well, you men need to. No, us men have been doing it well and right, at least by the U.S. standards of what a man's supposed to be. No. And if they saw you were good, these women didn't want you, these BAWs. Remember, 60%, if you want to round up, you ain't rounding up much, is 59.7% of black women have multiple children from multiple babies' daddies. Okay, so when you go and look at who the daddies are, 61% of the dads that have multiple children from multiple babies' mom are dudes that just got out of prison. Well, what's the population versus prison population versus the regular population of Afro men? All right, so the thug prison population, and keep in mind, some of these dudes come out and try to turn their life around, and some of them don't. They come out because the women's going to be jumping after them as if they came out of a 4-year university, right? So these dudes in the prison, they come out, all right, and the legs are open wide for them by the BAW, all right, to the tune of 61% of them are fathering all of these children, multiple children from multiple baby dads. Remember the story we put up about the men in Tennessee, 3 of them, 104 children. A dude in Ohio, 21 children. Dang, I can't. You see what I mean? And these women did not have any weapon against their head. They willingly chose them and sought them out. All right. The first sign of seeking out these men is going to be the demon mop, Wookiee, the hair hat. That's the first sign. And then it's going to be multiple colors for the type of men. It's the uniform, saying that they only want a Caucasian man or a thug. All right. So let's break this down. I want y'all to hear this. And y'all figure out when this woman decided to become conservative.
I recently discovered something startling about myself. It turns out that I'm a racist, sexist, misogynist. This came as quite a shock to me. How did this happen? As a person of color, a single woman with a graduate degree who grew up poor in a home without a father.
All right, so that's all her mom's fault. Period. All right. Now, you think that for the love of the community, she would seek out conservative-minded Afro men, you know, like the ones that the BAWs got angry at because he married a Caucasian woman. And why? Because the whole time he was looking for good conservative women that might respect his tech thing. We're talking about Marquise Browning, the tech guy, right? While he was looking for somebody, it was the Caucasian women that warmed up to him because of his mind. When I go to Brazil, the women like me because of my mind. All right? When we're looking at women like these, they don't want us because of our mind. And if we show that we have a mind, they don't want us at all. Oh, but by golly, be a Caucasian man. All right? Understand when she start turning around.
I had a clear political path to follow, and I followed it. I voted for Barack Obama twice. After all, we share the same skin color. His father was from Africa. Mine was too. What other reasons did I need? I was inspired to see a black man rise to the high.
Notice that her father was an African. So was her mom. Like I said, anything but a good Afro-American man.
Highest office in the land. I believed his ascent would herald a new beginning, a new era of racial healing and harmony. We would fight.
You can't have harmony unless you start with the family first. And if the first thing that the BAW wants to do is forsake having a family with a good man and staying there to be a family, then you can't. They don't get that though. All right, let's see.
Finally have that frank discussion about race that everyone always talks about. I was also inspired by his wife. I was thrilled to see such a strong, opinionated Black woman take the national stage. But then something happened. Actually, several somethings. I realized there was a big contradiction in my own life. I considered myself a free thinker, but I was thinking exactly what I was supposed to. I decided to start asking questions.
All right, so she was thinking exactly what she's supposed to, because she was thinking what her mom told her to think. All right, now understand the two biggest influences on her thinking. And it's been the two groups of people that have been most responsible for the demise of Afro men and children in the United States. All right, and we're talking about on a government level for one, and on a personal level in the home for the other. And she went from one group to another.
I belonged to several campus feminist groups. I was even teaching feminism to inner city girls. Part of that teaching involved making.
Understand, everything that she's taught was destructive to the family until she went and got her a Caucasian man, and then all of a sudden the very destroying the family was not a good idea. Think about that.
The case for abortion. These girls needed to know that they had the right to make decisions about their own bodies. Surely, I thought, that's empowerment. But one day I asked myself, isn't it men who benefit most from consequence-free sex? Doesn't that give them even more power over women? And of course, abortion certainly doesn't empower the woman it prevents from ever being born. When I began to ask my other feminist friends how they reconcile these issues, they just got angry. I was called anti-woman, even by progressive men. But I'm not anti-woman, I thought. I am a woman. I just don't want to be a weak one. I want to be strong, like Michelle. At about the same time, while I was a student at the University of Texas at Dallas, the UT Austin Department of African Diaspora Studies released a statement in which they said, and I quote, African Americans are disproportionately affected by the saturation of our society by firearms. We demand that firearms be banned in all spaces occupied by Black people on our campus. Wait a second, I thought. Why would you want to ban firearms only in Black areas? Doesn't that mean that you either think Black people are more dangerous than other people or less worthy of protection?
Now, she was okay with everything she was doing until a pivotal event, and that's when she met Brad. All right, when they get him a Brad, then the only time their mind changed, not while they're destroying the Afro man, not while they're destroying his family, not while they're taking away his ability to protect himself. All this stuff she was okay with until she married a Brad, and then Brad started using her to be the mouthpiece for his message, which is not a message to Afro men, the community, or our children. It's a message to, yep, you got it, the independent Caucasians.
These questions did not endear me to my progressive friends. I was called a race traitor, even by white people. But I'm not anti-Black. I am Black. I just want to be safe, like Barack. I realized I didn't have a good answer. I only had more questions. Like, why were Blacks doing so poorly in cities that had been run by Democrats for decades?
That all comes down to the family, not the politicians. I want y'all to understand this. That comes down to the families. If the women will not choose good men to be the fathers, then no matter who's the president, you're always going to have an effed up community.
Was it racism and sexism that was holding people back? Or was it something else?
And yes, that could be what's holding people back. It's just that it's not the Caucasians doing it to Afro people. It's the females doing it to the males, or other males doing it to the good males. Here's the thing. There is a war on society against the ideas of the good Afro man and him wanting to improve his community, to the point where the Afro man now thinks it's a losing cause. You got more men that want to be fathers that's being scammed by their mothers. And you got women like this that would rather be a good woman for a man that's not an Afro man than an Afro conservative man. But while she was around the Afro conservative man, instead of listening to him, she was busy fighting him and all his ideas. She didn't come around to seeing, and she still don't see the conservative way. She sees the Republican way, just like her husband. In other words, she sees her husband's way and she likes the notoriety and prestige he gives her, because now she's seen by a lot of BAWs who this message might be for them.
The more questions I asked, the less popular I became. But here's the funny thing. I started to feel better about myself. I decided that the very definition of empowerment required me to take responsibility for my own life. I wasn't going to be anyone's victim, which meant I had to protect myself. So I bought a gun. I started to advocate for gun rights. That cost me more friends. I joined the pro-life movement and walked in the March for Life. More friends, gone. Then I crossed the line. I voted Republican, the party that views me as an empowered individual, able to shape my own destiny.
Used her.
Not as a member of a victim group.
Used her as an empowered individual. No, she made all them moves because she was looking to be used. All right. And she was looking to be used as a victim to talk about not being a victim. In other words, if you notice, the Republican Party, not conservatives, that's a difference. The Republican Party is getting a lot of BAWs to marry the brats and then speak on their behalf as if they represent the community. But we should know better than that, because these women don't represent us. All right, they represent who they've chosen, the husband. They represent anything but the Afro man, anything but the Afro man's family and his children, because that's what they've always done. They're just fighting us in another political party. First, they were fighting us as liberal Democrats. Now they're going to fight against us as the Republicans. Now, if this message was coming from an Afro man, I could see that. All right, the Afro man worried about his family, but she's not going to have a family in the Afro community. Think about this. So she don't represent us. Okay, so that was Mrs. Okafor's little spiel she did for PragerU. All right. Now, if you look, you will see that at no point does she represent the Afro-American community at all. And she, like Candice Owens, you are using this platform to be seen and get everything that they want. As a matter of fact, they've gotten rid of all of their ethnicity to be accepted. In other words, they totally capitulated who they originally are as a people. All right, but this is the thing that the BAWs have been doing in America the whole time. They're not proud to be us. They don't want to be us. If they could, some would do what they're doing in Jamaica and doing what they are doing in Africa. If the husband wanted it that way, they'd be in a bathtub getting it done. the lightning thing. All right. The thing is, we cannot speak to people that really mean us harm in our community. We cannot speak to this is because to say that we need to move away from these people, to say that we recognize, no, we're looking at this. These people really don't represent us. To say that, oh, we've had this experience as Afro men, that women that do what they're doing do not represent us. And as soon as the tide turns, they, along with their party, will be against us. See, Afro people are conservatives, but we should have never been a part of a party. Understand? We shouldn't be voting in anyway. This government was not made for us, was not set up for us. Neither are these platforms. They make the rules and they could change them at will to eliminate us. I want y'all to understand. These women are having a shindig of a good time, all right? And you can't say that good Afro-American conservatives don't exist, because they do exist. And guess what? Now they getting on a plane and they're leaving. See, this is the handwriting on the wall, people. All right? The handwriting on the wall is that these groups never had love for us. You don't see any of us represented by the women that they put out front to say, oh, we represent you. No, we're not in their groups. We're not in their family. We're not the Afro men. And if the men aren't there, understand this. If they say, it's okay for us to marry your daughters, but we don't want your men marrying ours, then there is a problem. And the women that are okay with that, do you know, they do not represent the community. So this is what we have. All right? These people don't represent the community. They first represent themselves. Next, they represent the husband that they've chosen to be with. They are not free thinkers. They think for the Republican Party, and the Republican Party thinks for them, then tell them what to say. All right? They train them to speak. I'm not a trained person. I'm not a trained speaker. I've seen some stuff, and I'm telling you what I've seen. And I'm telling you the way I've seen it. The other thing is, I've read enough, I understand enough, and I understand the minds of people enough to make sense of some of the stuff that I've seen. All right? Nobody trained me to see what I see, but the wickedness of the people that I've seen. That trained me. I was like, oh, trial and error. All right? Didn't have to go to school for this. Didn't need to an apparatus like the Republican apparatus trained both of them people. PragerU. All right? You notice you don't see too many real street brothers on PragerU talking about the same things that they're talking about. Why we are leaving the Democrats alone. Because it's not just about the Democrats. We're seeing wickedness in the entire government. All right? This is why we have to save ourselves, black men. We got to save ourselves from the agents first. And that's our own BAWs. All right? We need to get as far away from them as possible because we have to save ourselves. At the end of the day, there's other places to go, and we're welcome down south. I mean, way down south, and we ain't talking Dixie, baby. All right? So, brothers, it's time for us to save ourselves and get out of this mess. Get your passports. Get your visas for countries that require them. We don't have to settle for the BS they're trying to shove down our throats and in our heads. With that said, I'm out. Let these queens suffer along in silence by themselves. They didn't want us. Okay, now they don't have us. They didn't have to have us. All right? They could do bad by themselves. Well, they've been doing bad to us, yeah, pretty much by themselves, but with the help of the government. All right, brothers, we ought to be out. With that said, peace.